Oh, hi, Mark. It's been a minute, boys and girls. Yes, it certainly has. Does my hair look stupid? I feel like my hair looks stupid. I just brushed it real quick because I wear a hard hat all day, so I guarantee it would look much dumber had I not done that. Also, check out the Terrifier shirt. Um, I love this thing. Um, yeah, that's a sick ass fucking shirt. Anywho, how you guys doing? Yeah, you doing good? Have you been good while I was away? I hope not. Anywho, Cat in the Brain is a horror film directed by Lucio Fulci. Lucio. I pronounce it Lucio. I feel like it's pronounced Lucio because they pronounce it Lucio in this movie. And I certainly hope it is because my dog's name is Lucio and I've been calling him Lucio this whole time. So yeah, I named my dog after Lucio Fulci because I'm a nerd and I do love Lucio Fulci movies. This was the first Fulci movie I ever saw. And I don't think this is the right place to start with Fulci because it uses a lot of clips from his other work. Um, like there's a lot of Sodoma's Ghost in this movie. There's a ton of Touch of Death in this movie. I can't really identify some of the other clips. I think there's some Voices from Beyond, but don't quote me on that because I thought Voices from Beyond released like a year after this movie. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe that ties into the whole meta storyline of Fulci's directing a movie while this movie's going on, and then the movie ends, and it's spoilers, obviously, right? Like, this movie came out in 1990. Spoilers, sorry. And it's revealed that he directed a movie about the movie we just watched. At least that's how I choose to interpret it. You could see it as just like him being like, "Oh, the twist is it's all a movie the whole time," but I like to think that it's in the universe of Cat in the Brain. These events really did transpire, and then in the end of the movie, it's shown that like to get over the events of Cat in the Brain, he directs Cat in the Brain, which I think is far cutesier. Um, so first of all, obviously I like the gore in this movie, which isn't that's not surprising. Because Fulci is if you love Fulci, you probably love practical gore effects. And this movie is filled with them. Not all of them are from this movie. Um, a lot of them come from A Touch of Death, which Touch of Death is its own can of worms that I think is pretty awesome, actually. I shouldn't have called it a can of worms. That's kind of misrepresenting my feelings towards it. I actually really like Touch of Death. I've only seen it one time. I need to rewatch it. But how I remember it is like some bizarre American Psycho spinoff directed by Lucio Fulci. That's what I think of when I think of Touch of Death, which I think is pretty awesome. And a pretty accurate way of describing it. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Touch of Death, but it's a good movie, and I need to rewatch it. But a lot of the gore comes from Touch of Death. Um, a lot of the uncomfortable scenes come from Sodoma's Ghost, which, if I have one critique of this movie, that's it. Is that personally, this is just me, it's a little too sleazy for me, which is something that some Fulci movies kind of go a little too far on, is the sleaze. I kind of feel the same way about New York Ripper, which is why I don't rewatch that movie as often as I could. Um, I do like New York Ripper. I like it a lot, but there's just a little too much nasties in there. Too much mommy daddy time, and I'm not really trying to watch that. Like that makes me sound so I don't know so prudish. I'm a prude, but I just don't want to watch it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't enjoy sex scenes in movies. I just don't. I can't help it. These movies, they make me uncomfortable. They make me feel icky in my giblets. I don't know what that means. Don't you look at me like I'm supposed to know. Icky in my giblets. So anyway, this movie has a lot of that in it. And I introduced this movie to my girlfriend recently, and I just fast forwarded through um that whole orgy scene, because I was like, nah, we're not gonna watch it. We're just not. I think that's from Sodom's Ghost, is what I think that's from. Um, yeah, I was just like, nah, no thanks. And, but other than that, this is a really solid movie. This is one of the few Lucio Fulci movies where I look at it and I see it as an actually good film. Um, of course, pretty much every Fulci movie is shot well. The soundtrack is usually amazing. Uh, and of course, those things are present here. But I mean, like, this feels like it was made well, whereas something like Zombie, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, or Zombie 2, depending on where you are in the world, because having 3 trillion titles is a popular thing apparently. Whereas that movie is just, it's pure entertainment value. That is cheese, it's stupidity. There are so many logical inconsistencies in that movie. It's crazy. But I really, really like Zombie. It's a fun movie, and that's the way I feel about most Fulci, is that it's really fun. But not necessarily that they're good movies. I put a few movies of Fulci's into that category, which would be Cat in the Brain is one of them, and then The Psychic, um, and then probably Don't Torture a Duckling, though I'm not particularly fond of that one. It's got some I don't know. It's got some stuff in there involving a kid and a grown woman that I'm really not huge on. I don't know if Fulci was trying to say something there, but I'm just leave it out. How about, I don't know. Unless you were trying to say something, then go ahead and include it. But it just makes me feel uncomfortable, and I could never watch that movie. But um, yeah, Cat in the Brain is definitely one of Lucio Fulci's best movies. And speaking of his best, funnily enough, I think Lucio Fulci is the best actor I've ever seen in a Lucio Fulci movie, which is hilarious for some reason to me. Uh, he's not the second coming of Christ, but he is actually a decent actor in this movie, which I think is funny because all of the other movies have actual actors in them, and they're not great. Bob from House by the Cemetery, anybody? That's not that kid's fault. That was the dub. That was the dub. That poor kid. That poor little fella. But I've always thought that it'd be really cool. And by always thought, I mean I'm saying that I always thought this, but I actually just thought of this when I was watching this last with my girlfriend. But I'm saying it now because I think it makes me cool. Um, but recently I had the thought that, wouldn't it be so fucking sick if Dario Argento, I don't know how the rights work, okay? But if Dario Argento released a Cat in the Brain 2 with the same premise as Cat in the Brain, and then in the universe, it's like Cat in the Brain 1 exists in the universe of Cat in the Brain 2, and Argento watches Cat in the Brain 1 to try and figure out what's going on with him in Cat in the Brain 2. But it's not like quite the same premise where the psychiatrist is like hypnotizing him. That's not how hypnotizing works, by the way. That's goofy as shit. That is one negative aspect. That's not how hypnosis works. And that is really goofy, but I feel like that's like just a movie trope. So that's not really the movie's fault, but it kind of is. Um, But anyway, but like Argento just he's having the same issue that Fulci was having in Cat in the Brain, and so he watches Cat in the Brain to try and overcome the issues he's having in his head. I think that is such a cool sequel idea. Um, Argento, if you're watching, yeah, Argento definitely watches my videos. Argento watches my videos confirmed. Um, Said me never. But I'm just saying that'd be a really cool, be a really cool sequel idea. But yeah, the whole hypnosis angle is goofy. It's a stupid trope. Oh well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I think this movie does a really good job in everything that it tries to do. Lucio Fulci is a decent actor, as it turns out. We've seen him on screen before this, but it was really just cameos. Um, but at the end of the day, Cat in the Brain is a really entertaining movie that takes some of Fulci's other movies and it works them in here, which I think a critique you could have of the movie is like he's just padding runtime or something like that. I don't think this is no, well, it's 95 minutes and I don't know, probably like 10 or 15 of that is retreads, maybe even more is retreads of his old movies. But you know what? I don't have um I don't know. I don't buy into that. I think it actually adds to the movie that he edits in all of these clips from the other movies. And like I get why that Sodomaz ghost scene was in there with all the Nazi guys uh having sexy fun times. But I really wish it wasn't cuz like I say I fast forwarded through that. It makes me uncomfy, which might be stupid, but it does make me uncomfy. Uh, Also, unrelated to the film itself, but that cover art is sick. I think that's probably what drew me to this movie in the first place. I was like 17 or 18 when I bought this. So I was like, that cover art fucking slaps. And here we go. Except I didn't say slaps because I don't think that was terminology when I was 17 or 18, which wasn't all that long ago in the grand scheme of things. But like, like language evolves a lot in a few years. Yeah, a few years. I'm 19, guys. Not really. Um, I'm practically a fucking geriatric. And by that, I mean I'm 24. Let's. I'm old in fat people years. I'll say that. I will say that. But, anywho, I think Cat in the Brain is fucking rad. There's my review. I know that I just kind of ADHD brain jumped to every other Lucio Fulci movie in existence and compared Cat in the Brain to it. I don't give a damn. I'm energetic tonight. It's actual Friday and it's also my Friday, so I'm feeling really good about that. Um because I work a lot and so I get really excited about my days off. But anywho, guys, I think I'm gonna give Cat in the Brain an 8 out of 10. I think it deserves about an 8. It's not a perfect movie. Like I say, the sleaziness is a little off-putting. The hypnosis is a little goofy. The guy that plays the therapist or whatever he's supposed to be, psychiatrist, psychotherapist, who gives a shit? He's a little goofy. Like, I don't know, some of his facial expressions are kind of goofy. Also, the film concludes in such a way, at least, well, not the film altogether. I like the way that the movie concludes. But the segment where we're talking, or not talking, but where we're viewing the therapist and his murders and the whole I want to say mystery, but it's not a mystery. The whole hullabaloo. There we go. Hullabaloo. That's a good word. Bet you haven't heard that shit in a while. I haven't said that. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. The whole hullabaloo revolving around the psychiatrist that concludes really abruptly, and I don't know why that did. I don't know if it was a conscious decision or if it was just like, shit, guys, we need to wrap filming, and they just kind of, oh, he died, because they don't show it. They don't, as far as I know, anyway, unless I missed something on the number of different times that I've seen Cat in the Brain, but I don't think I have. Uh, Maybe I have. There's gonna be someone in the comments now going like, "You're a fucking fake fan. How dare you name your dog after Lucio Fulci? You piece of shit. You didn't even know that in 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 32 seconds into this film, that it explains exactly what happens. It shows you the death of the psychiatrist, probably, and actually now I'm seriously second guessing myself. Maybe his death was really abrupt, and that's what's throwing me off. I don't know. I don't remember, and I feel like garbage for that. I'll put myself in the corner as punishment for my horrific crimes. Anyway, guys, 8 out of 10. I think that's a pretty solid score for Cat in the Brain. Have you seen Cat in the Brain? What did you think of Cat in the Brain? What do you think of my stupid fucking face? Huh? Do you hate it as much as I do? I'll bet you do. Anywho, I'll talk to you guys on the next one. I can never like wiggle my fingers properly. There we go. Like when I make a conscious effort. Okay, fuck my life. Bye.